Bro, can you play my next song? I'll try. Have you heard this super underground song on YouTube? You need to play it. So none of this actually does anything, right? It's just for show. Okay, these are things I frequently hear while I'm DJing, and I think it's time to clear up what a DJ actually does and what we really don't do. Using the briefest description I can, I would say that a DJ is a music curator. When you're choosing to go out for a night, it is largely in part to do with the ambiance. Very frequently, you go to a nightclub because of a certain mood, because of a certain feeling that you get when you're there. That typically has a lot in part to do with the music. A DJ is going to select the vibe and hopefully stick that out for an entire night. We're going to pause for a second and run on a tangent. I want to run you through a quick hypothetical and see if you can solve this problem. Let's imagine that you're at an athletic banquet. It's you and a bunch of different people. Now, you're tasked with finding out what sport everybody likes. Now, there's some caveats. Number one, you're stuck in a corner and you cannot move. Number two, you are not allowed to go and directly speak with people unless they come to you. Do you think you can come up with a solution that will quickly and effectively find out the sports that most people like? This is kind of what it's like to DJ. You have to quickly and effectively find the type of music that most people like without talking to them or going up to them. So how do we do that? Another thing DJs have to do is people watch. Seeing a lot of people come into a venue means that there's going to be people with all sorts of tastes in music with their own independent likes and dislikes, and you have to decipher what the crowd as a whole will be receptive to. On top of that, you're going to need to decide what parts of the song to use and what kind of edits or remixes that you're going to play. So where does a DJ play their music from? Normally, a DJ is going to have all of their music saved locally on a hard drive. Over the years in their career, they've presumably amassed a large library of all sorts of versions of your favorite songs and things that you've probably forgot about too. So the next thing we're going to look at is beat matching. Now, some people might be wondering, how does someone go from one song to another without it being a train wreck? In a few words, beat matching is essentially taking one song that is the same speed as another and bringing in the backtrack and slowly switching over to the other song. It's like being teased that the song is about to change. During this process, the DJ needs to know when they want to be in and out of this song. They need to be making sure everything is kept in time, and they need to make sure it's a mostly seamless experience. But while I did say there are a few ways to switch in and out of songs, let's briefly go over a couple ways. I think a lot of people think of scratching when they think of a DJ. It's that sound. Scratching is a technique used to manipulate a part of a song or a sample to make unique noises. This can be used to keep things on beat, to add a little bit of extra flavor, or sometimes to transition over. So if we look at scratching as something like song manipulation, we can take that concept and apply it in many different ways. One of the ways to use this manipulation is to do something called wordplay, where you would take songs that have the same themes and say similar things and kind of switch between them seamlessly to get across to another song. Now you could also do the same thing with tone play, where you'll just take notes in one song and then have them mimic the other song, and then you switch over. Essentially, if you're going from song A to B, and it sounds like there's a smooth segue, chances are the DJ knows what he's doing. Moving on, we're going to talk about the difference between producers and DJs, because they often get confused. Now the thing is, the DJs typically don't make their own music, or at least that's not what you're usually there to hear. A producer is someone who makes beats or original songs in a studio, and a DJ is someone who does live shows, usually playing other people's music. While they're not the same, they're not mutually exclusive, and sometimes you'll see DJs that are producers and vice versa. Sometimes they do it really well, other times not so much. To put it simply, if you're there for original music, you're probably going to see a producer, and if you're going to hear a whole bunch of things and hopefully get surprised, chances are you're listening to a DJ. If we're going outside of music for a second and we're considering that a venue sometimes doesn't have its own music or lighting, a DJ will sometimes have to be their own technician and engineer to make sure that the venue has all of the required assets. It means you got to do sound check, you got to set up lighting, and it's a lot of wiring to go through. So somebody once gave me a little bit of advice, and even though I might get flack for it, I think there's some real merit to it, and it's that, like most art forms, there is this set of rules that we've made for ourselves that are kind of arbitrary because they work. At the end of the day, if something sounds good, then you can totally do it. So to that, I'd say a DJ is just someone who gives you a positive musical experience. And if they're not doing that, then they're probably not doing their job. That's not to say that you hear one or two songs you don't like, or that it's not your vibe, because then maybe the party's not for you. But if the experience is seamless or rather smooth, then that's all that matters. Hopefully this has given you a little bit of insight into what the world of DJing is like. If you guys would like me to go more in depth in the future, I can totally do that. Feel free to comment below and tell me what you thought. And of course, if you hit the like and subscribe, that would be great too. I'll see you guys in the next one. There's going to be so much editing, Ryan. I'm sorry, future Ryan.